Hello everybody. I've lived in many wacky and zany base locations in my time playing Don't Starve Together. I even made a couple of videos about them. So how about today we look at as many biomes as we can and go over their pros and cons as a base spot to try and find out where you should consider making your base. We'll start with the most exotic base location in the entire game, right outside the spawn portal. The obvious pros for a spot like this is that you don't need to find it. It's right in front of you the moment you spawn in. So you don't have to faff about with flares or trying to guide your friend who rotates their camera too much if you have someone join you. As well as that, you have easy access to the florid postern itself, so when you convert it into its lunar variation, you can swap characters from the comfort of your own base. A very nice convenient that's very hard to beat. Resource variety is typically good here too. You'll always have a little bit of flint nearby, some trees and grass and twigs usually, everything you need to be comfortable. But honestly, the main perk of living at spawn is that it's an equal distance to most other biomes, since spawn is typically located near the middle of this big weird spider of a map we live on, especially if you find where the roads converge. However, that is also a con of living at spawn too. Whilst you're never too far away from anything, you're typically not too close to anything either, lacking the comforts and utility a more specialised base location may have. Think of it like a jack of all trades, master of none situation. The other con of living at spawn is that it's kind of boring. This is entirely my opinion at this point, but living at spawn in a world where you can live literally anywhere is like picking a human warrior in a game where you can be a lizard. But overall, a generally inoffensive base location. It gets 3.5 Lost Wilsons out of 5. Next up, let's go somewhere actually exotic and a big favourite of mine, the Dragonfly Desert. Now this could be seen as a evil hostile biome since it's typically filled with massive amounts of hound mounds and the titular dragonfly that the desert is named after. But if you can find a place in the desert a decent ways away from all of that mess, you have a pretty barren wasteland all things considered. But there is one pro that makes this biome a delight. One massive pro. Tumbleweeds. These tumbling delights are the best thing about this place. Little rolling loot boxes that are filled with basic resources like grass and twigs, but also rare materials like gears, trinkets, and even gems that you can typically only find in the ruins. You won't need to worry about relocating grass or saplings if you live in this biome, since you'll be stuffed on materials all year round thanks to these things. Not even winter or summer will stop the tumbleweeds from spawning. Another pro about this place, cactus. These spiky plants offer you a delightful source of ingredients for your dishes, but more importantly, can be cooked as a super cheap and super reliable way to restore your sanity. Just make sure you put on some armour when picking these things, or wear one of Wormwood's bramble husks. The con of this place being barren is completely null and void by the tumbleweeds, but even if you wanted to relocate materials here, it's nothing a shovel can't fix. However, we cannot forget the hounds and dragonfly, since they can definitely be seen as a con, especially to newer players. Though, saying that, having access to an infinitely respawning group of easy to hunt dogs for monster meat and hound's teeth is absolutely a pro, provided you can take care of them in a reasonable manner and don't have them too close to your base. As for the dragonfly herself, she sticks to her magma ponds and won't ever bother you unless you get too close, so she's never a hassle. If anything, she's a blessing with her fight being easily accessible, and she can even help you take care of bosses you're not too confident that you can handle yourself. But those magma pools? They can light tumbleweeds on fire, which, if you're very unlucky, can tumble right into your base and light it on fire. I've never had this happen in my entire life, and I've based in the desert a lot, but if it's something that worries you, make sure to set up a couple of stone walls just in case. All in all, a very solid base location, one of the best out there. I rate it 5 burning tumbleweeds out of 5. Let's dial the zany back a little bit and look at another popular base location, the Pig King Forest. Out of the usually 2 deciduous forests you'll find in your world, one will always house the Pig King Village. A very useful pro that gives you access to pigmen, their drops, and their king who has an unlimited amount of gold for you, as long as you have trinkets and eggs for him. Gold is super useful, you don't need me telling you that, as well as the pigs themselves, so living next to these guys is an obviously huge benefit. But speaking of benefit, Glommer always spawns here at this statue too. Now living here doesn't offer you too many benefits involving Glommer, Unless you're one of those sickos that kill him every full moon and during moonstorms to farm Krampus sacks, which, to be honest, is a valid reason for living here, but I'll still hate you for it. What I won't hate you for, though, is enjoying this biome's abundance of fireflies. Getting caught in the dark in this biome is usually safe, since the massive amount of fireflies everywhere means you'll never be at too much of a risk from dying at darkness. It's quite surprising walking through this biome sometimes. I just can't believe my eyes. There's 10 million fireflies. One last upside to mention is that this biome can be found easily by following the brick road, as one end will typically lead you right to the Pig King village. Funky world generation providing, of course. Sometimes it just leads nowhere. So what's the catch for this biome if it seems nothing but amazing so far? Well, it has slightly less resource density for grass and twigs when compared to other biomes, but as we mentioned for the desert, that's only a half issue thanks to the existence of a shovel. So I guess this place has next to no downsides. But, for me, there is one massive downside. It's that, deciduous turf has a really high priority when compared to other turfs, which makes decorating the base with other turf types super annoying and makes it hard to plan out the base early if you use a pitchfork. That's seriously the stupidest reason and the most Bidobams reason ever for marking up a downside. But don't let my weird taste put you off. This place is a solid 4 confused pigmen out of 5. How about we quickly look at a biome that is incredibly unlikely to have anyone living in it besides death itself? The marsh. I'm talking about the big marsh, not the little baby one that spawns sometimes. So this biome is, for lack of a better term, a nightmare. It's populated by fiercely territorial merms, annoying mosquitoes that spawn every evening, spiders out and about, and of course, tentacles that end up fighting everything listed above. Whilst this biome is helpful for the resources that these monsters drop, and I guess the papyrus from reeds, it's overall just too dangerous of a place to live in, even as a wort, who is designed to live in this place. But they're often better just moving marsh turf to any other biome, unless you're using the mosquito skills, I guess. But this place still offers a decent supply of resources from the constant infighting, and if you are careful, can help you out at any point in the game. Maybe consider this a biome you live next to, and not directly in for that sake. Perhaps I should try living in a swamp one day. But that day isn't today. So this place gets 2 suspicious piles of monster loot out of 5. Just make sure you never check your map in this biome, because that's a great way to get clipped by a tentacle. Now I think it's time we talk about one of the most popular base locations in the entire game, the Oasis. You'll find this location in the non-Dragonfly desert, since there's 2 deserts, which itself isn't as fun when compared to its draconian relative due to its lack of tumbleweeds. But it still has its own benefits, such as vault goats. These silly creatures can be tough to take down, but a decent source of meat in their exclusive vault goat horns, letting you make weather panes, or if you got a Warley in the party, his super useful vault goat. On top of all of that, just like the Dragonfly Desert, this place also grows cactus too. Different looking ones to help you differentiate the 2 deserts apart. But besides that and the cute oasis looking place in the middle, this biome just seems like a slightly less happening desert. Well, there's one massive benefit this place has. During summer, wildfires will never occur anywhere in this biome. At all. No need for flingomatics or big trees covering every corner of your base. You can place anything in the oasis and even the desert itself without worrying about it ever randomly burning down. However, there is a reason for this luxury. Yeah, during summer you get sandstorms instead. These can be incredibly annoying to deal with, and whilst won't occur around the oasis itself, will still make it known at any given time. To help deal with the sandstorms, you'll notice that the oasis itself will fill with water whenever one is active. This itself is a massive pro, giving you a cozy little lake to fish in to catch, well, fish, but also crumpled packages filled with all sorts of trinkets and blueprints. One of those blueprints lets you make goggles to help traverse the sandstorm without getting slowed down. Another mostly unknown benefit of this little oasis pond is that when the water appears, free fireflies will always spawn over the water, providing there's none there already, letting you harvest them come autumn, making fireflies renewable. And the final thing to mention is that this desert is home to the antlion herself. You can either fight her easily at the start of summer, or, if you're a lover and not a fighter, you can enjoy the luxuries of living right next to her by just trading instead. getting all of her loot and keeping her placated without needing to kill her. Doing this will even let you get a bunch of Desert Stone Seeds on the Lazy Deserter if you so wish. This thing is really useful, more people need to know of it. You'll be hard pressed to find any tangible downsides for this base. Of course, you'll have to deal with temporary resource scarcity until you can move stuff here like the previous biomes we mentioned, but it's all so worth it for the numerous gimmicks this base location holds for you. With its wildfire protection, cactus growth and a private pond, there's a big reason Oasis bases are massively popular, and that's why this biome gets a well-deserved 5 glass sand castles out of 5. Both deserts got perfect score. Crazy, isn't it? But, you know, those are all normal base locations. Why don't we talk about some wild and twisted ones here? That's why you clicked on this video, right? How about living in, that one biome with lots of bees? Yeah, this place is fine. Not much to say about it. It's like living in any other mainland biome, but you have access to unlimited stingers and honey. An amazing spot for warthogs though, since this is the best way to get unlimited souls. Though, due to his teleporting gimmick, he doesn't actually need to live here or anywhere for that matter. But the same can't be said for Willow, a great source of embers for her spells. This biome is much like the marsh, however, and a biome that you should consider living near, not directly in, because otherwise, come spring, you'll be spending most of your days running from frisky bees. Unless you're Wormwood, he's chill with it. Walter is not, however. Funnily enough, both characters actually benefit from getting stingers thanks to bramble husks and stinger rounds. You also have access to the Bee Queen. Not really a boss you should be living close to, but in a pinch, you can always hammer her beehive for some honey, and super rarely, honeycombs without even aggroing her. But overall, a decent place to leverage when looking for a base spot. I give it 3 full stacks of bee stingers out of 5. Just don't live in here, you psychopaths. But that base spot wasn't that crazy, it was just a bit stupid. How about we go real crazy? How about we go big? How about we go back to the birth of my channel, the Lunar Island. This spot holds a very special place in my heart, as it was the sole reason I'm able to be here making videos today. If I didn't do that silly video talking about living on this island all those years ago, I would have never had the opportunity to have met the people I met and make a bit of money doing what I enjoy, so I thank all of you so much every day for all of that. But sappy stuff aside, let's talk about this biome. I'm not sure if to consider this a pro or a con, but on this biome, you'll not have any sanity to deal with, and instead, enlightenment. Consider this a flipped sanity meter, so being insane on this island is a good thing, whilst being sane means you're getting harassed by sleep-inducing ghost children. Annoying, yes, but I'd rather deal with these than terrorbeaks. Maybe. The lack of nightmares can be considered a downside if you want to easily get nightmare fuel, but for characters like Wickerbottom, who can read their books for free on this island, it's absurdly broken. You can literally read as many books as you want without a single nightmare spawning, the only limitation being how fast your books refresh. Have fun breaking the game with this. Maxwell can also summon as many things as he wants scot-free too, and the cheeky git can also read Wickerbottom's books. I'm sorry, Wickerbottom. Other pros of this island are its varied resources. Wood, rocks, moonglass, reeds, kelp, twigs, stone fruit, but no grass. Never any grass. That's something you'll need to bring here yourself, as I found out over 2 years ago. This biome is more than capable of letting you live here incredibly comfortably, provided you have a decent way on or off the island, a massive con if your world generation is super unlucky. Most of the time you should be able to make a bridge out of docks leading to the island, but if not, get ready to enjoy hopping across boats anytime you want to go home. Or play as warthogs. Or Wanda. Or Winona. Those guys rock when it comes to living on silly island bases like this. A remarkable downside though, is that since it's a lunar themed area, most creatures here are very evil and messed up. Prepare to deal with moonrock pengulls every winter, and every hound attack to nearly double in size thanks to the hounds resurrecting into horror hounds. I hate these guys so much. At least you won't have to worry about the bearger or deerclops attacking you if you live here. Though do make sure to actually go back to the mainland to fight them when they spawn if you want their super useful drops for things like umbrellas and such. But with access to moonglass for glass cutters and axes, thermal baths keeping you warm over winter, stone fruit giving you unlimited food and rocks, you kind of ignore the gestalts after a while, giving you a completely different base experience if you decide to live here. If you're bored of standard survival, I strongly recommend it, especially if your world generation is lucky and provides it, or if you're playing as Wickerbomb, or can teleport. There's so much to this biome, I could never fully give it what it deserves. Lunar Island, my old friend, you get 4 cut grass out of 5. Good times. Next up, let's look at another biome I lived in for a video years ago. Well, less of a biome, and more like an entirely different dimension. That's right, let's go over a cave base. Now, whilst caves are filled with their own biomes and environments, for the sake of this video, we're just going to lump them all together under the cave base umbrella. Or umbrella in the case of Acid Rain. But living in the caves is like playing an entirely different game. I could go over all the pros and cons of living underground, but it would just ultimately end up with me describing what the caves are. But I'm going to do it anyway, rapid fire. Pros include easy access to rocks and other minerals thanks to the abundant formations and earthquakes, light bulbs and glowberries growing everywhere for fuel and fun ingredients, the ruins in Lunar Grotto being accessible whenever you wanted, mushrooms are super common down here, especially green ones, no deerclops or bearjaw will try to attack you and ruin your base, summer isn't hot at all down here, and there's no wildfires whatsoever. It's different. I think this is the biggest pro I can give for living down here. It feels like you're playing an entirely different game. As for some rapid cons, it's the caves. You're always going to be losing sanity and at the risk of dying to the darkness. Also, 80% of surface activities won't work down here, like bees, glommer, chester, but you do get hutch though. We love you, hutch. Instead of hounds, you get depth worms, which are more annoying to deal with in big groups. Also, the Great Depth Worm can just ruin your life and your base, just like antlion earthquakes can during summer. Oh, and when it rains down here, it practically never stops, which makes you super insane and cold. And acid rains during the Shadow Rifts, which will also make earthquakes way more deadly. Did I mention the Great Depth Worm yet? You get the gist of it. Whilst there's certainly cool motivators for living down here, it's entirely up to you if you decide that the pros outweigh the cons. And some characters are way better suited for a cave base too, like Walter for his fearlessness and ability to run really fast or teleport, and Wendy for her everything. It's certainly an experience living down here, and one that I think everyone should try out. So that's why I'm giving it a, I don't know, out of, I have no idea. Finally, for this video, we're going to be going over a base location I've tried in the past, and one that I've been trying again recently and having an absolute blast with. Everybody at home, I present to you the Moonkey base. Yep, living on an evil island full of annoying monkeys in the middle of the ocean. And I mean the middle of the ocean. It seems next to impossible to make a dock leading here, so prepare to use a bunch of boats or play as one of the magical teleporting free to even consider this place a base. And good luck sailing here as well, or even using that bridge of boats I mentioned, since you'll almost always get raided whenever you're near the sea at this island. And that's not good, obviously. I guess we gotta get the biggest con out of the way first. The monkeys. These annoying guys that constantly try to rob and harass you for as long as you're on the island. Sure, you could kill them, but you have a whole new issue on your hands. So why am I saying this is an interesting base location if you've given us nothing but cons, Ash? Because, here's a tip. You can solve that problem. I mean, you can solve the monkeys part, not the fact that it's an island far as heck away from anything. The monkey huts can be easily destroyed by something like fire, and to help with getting cursed, you can either head here after you snag some bananas from the ruins to give to the queen, or come here during winter since the monkeys will be way less active during then, and banana bushes still grow during winter. Just take it slow, try not to get overwhelmed, and above all, make sure you don't get cursed. But Ashley, what's the point of breaking the monkey huts if the monkeys keep coming out of the really cool portal that gives you infinite resources and access to amazing plants for free? How could you ever deal with the fact that monkeys respawn here infinitely? You bring 2 gunpowder and light it underneath the portal. This doesn't blow up the portal or anything, even though that would be really cool and probably catastrophic, but it destroys the dock tile underneath it, which makes it so that when monkeys spawn, they instantly drown the moment they come out, whilst ensuring that the cool portal still gives you access to all of the loot. So now that you've taken care of the main issue of this island, which are the monkeys, why live here? Well, besides the cool portal that gives you infinite access to most basic resources in the entire game, as well as more banana bushes and monkey tail reeds than you'll know what to do with, You can grow some of those bananas and give them to the queen for nifty blueprints, which you can then in turn, once you've learned all the blueprints, turn into paper with a cartographer's table to have an infinite source of paper for the low price of 1 banana. Get a couple of bees on this island and you're set on honey poultices for life. All in all, probably the most exotic base location you could ever have in this game. Sure, it's almost entirely non-feasible if you're not one of the teleporting free characters I keep bringing up, but if you are one of those, this place feels like your own personal island paradise. Free resources in your own cozy island, what's not to like? Try it out if you want a twist on the standard survival experience. I've been doing it on my own with my own Warthog's world in my downtime, and I've been having such an amazing time. But what would I rate this location? Like 1 stack of banana bushes out of 5 if you're most characters. But if you can teleport, a solid 4. Nothing beats a crazy base location to spice up your survival. Ultimately, where you live is key to how your playthrough of Don't Starve Together will go. If things seem too samey, maybe try something like Pearl's Island. Not much to say about that one, besides it's a cute tiny island with access to nothing unique other than an old lady who hates you. 3 cracked pearls out of 5. Or maybe you want to try something like the Ice Sheet biome. 0 Uncle Finnies out of 5. Or you know what? Why not just live in the random forest biome that's nearby a couple of spiders, some pigs, maybe a beefalo or 2. Sometimes you just can't beat the classics. And that's all the base locations I feel like going over for this video. Sure, there's plenty more biomes out there like the waterlogged biome, the several types of forest biome, and maybe the atrium if you feel like making a stupid challenge video, but that's not for me. What is for me is a nice rest. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your favourite base locations down below in the comments. But until next time everybody, I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye bye everyone.